Please like, share, and subscribe. Hello all of my YouTube friends. And in this video we are talking about Season 4, Episode 9 of Snowpiercer. It's the final season, and after this episode there's only one episode left. So a lot of things happen, and it's moving quite quickly. It's getting to be a very fast pace. So if you blink, you might miss something important. Now I would just like to take a moment to do a shout out to two of my viewers, Rosalind and Growl, who corrected me in a previous review where I didn't know how Ruth came to know that the scientist was the one that they were fighting. A little detail I missed was that Leighton got the information that the scientist was behind everything from Wilfred just before he died. So thank you for that specification, and without further ado, let's get into this episode. Now, before I move ahead any further, there was just one thing that got on my nerves, and I have to start off with it. And that's the cameras. All the cameras were handheld in this episode, and it reminded me of an after school special or one of those cheap sci-fi shows that you see on the Sunday afternoon. It was extremely distracting, and because of it, I could not get into the show. I could not get into the vibe. It was such a departure from all the previous shows and seasons and episodes. I know that they were going for a Saving Private Ryan kind of a vibe to it. It just did not work out for me, personally. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the last episode goes back to how they were filming it before, because this will not contribute to my pleasure of watching the show. But I'm interested in knowing what you thought of the camera angles and the way that this episode was shot, so let me know in the comments down below. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to the juicy bits, and there is one juicy bit that I'll get to shortly that was mind-boggling to me. Like I've said, I'm just a normie watching this show. I've seen the movie. I have not read the books. So everything that happens in the show is new to me. So in today's episode, Melanie wakes up. And I had a feeling that we would see her again in the last two episodes. I just wish that we had more scenes throughout this season with her. I really think that she's a good actress. She brings a lot of presence to the screen. I just wish that she would have been there a lot more during the season. So she wakes up and finds a note from the scientist, also known as Nema. And he takes a little bit of a coward's way out, writing a note to Melanie trying to explain himself. Like, you can't argue with somebody, you just put them to sleep using gas agents and writing a note, trying to get your point across. Just left that. This guy is really a sleazy dude that I wouldn't approach with a 10-foot pole. So at the end of the last episode, we also saw that Alex is held at gunpoint trying to do the switch over of the tracks, trying to get Snowpiercer next to Big Alice within the settlement. And she kind of sabotages the situation, the tracks, and manages to escape during a distraction and rejoins the settlement crew. Like I said, there's a lot of things and it happens pretty quickly. And while this is happening, Nema is putting his bomb together, which I really like the visuals of this missile in the core of it and all his black liquid poison stuff. And again, he goes into a heated debate with Melanie, and it's not poison, it's hope. What happened in the past wasn't his fault, it was everybody else's fault. He was working with inferior scientists back then, and they're the main reason why it didn't go so well. So while he's doing this bomb and exchanging with Melanie, I mean, the town, the settlement is still under siege. There's this sniper, and he's giving the town people a really hard time. And I was happy to see that Bastille goes out on her own and tackles this sniper. Strangely enough, while Leighton is in a fight with one of those peacekeepers in the settlement, Bess manages to take down the sniper and shoot that peacekeeper that was fighting with Leighton. At Leighton's place, I would have hid just in case that the sniper missed and missed by accident. I would have, taken cover or something. He just stays out in the open and he kind of knows that, okay, the sniper's been taken down. A few things were itching me there, but it's okay. I understand that we are moving ahead very quickly in this episode. And in previous reviews, I've also mentioned that I was really happy Javy is back on the team, that he didn't die from the bomb. And he's actually still contributing to the series, to the season, to the show. And he's coming up with a device to jam the bombs. I don't know if you remember, I mentioned that the peacekeepers put bombs all around the cliffs of the settlement to trigger an avalanche. And he's found out a way to jam the signal. Strangely enough, Leighton communicates with him and Ruth, and they're asking him, yeah, well, we kind of need you to take a bomb and use it in the settlement to take care of a couple of those peacekeepers. And it was kind of funny seeing his reaction saying, yeah, last time I did something like this, it didn't go too well. I thought he had bitten the bullet there, but he did survive that one, and he's doing it again and manages to knock out a couple of those peacekeepers, allowing the rest of the settlement people to take over the fight. And like I said, this show was extremely fast paced. Alex leaves the settlement crew to go back onto Snowpiercer to rejoin Melanie, and they're coming up with this plan to help the settlement take over Nema's project, or not necessary project, but to hinder his project of launching the missile. And they're trying to coordinate with the settlement. And this is where the big reveal happens. They're trying to figure out a way to distract Nema while Melanie communicates with the settlement. And this is where Melanie announces to Alex that Nema is the donor. We always thought that somehow Wilfred was the father, but he was a father figure to Alex. Turns out that the biological father of Alex is Nema. So Alex goes and confronts Nema and is like, hey, apparently you're my dad. So that ensues a discussion that's pretty awkward. And you see that this guy, is completely nuts. He tries to draw a thing on a piece of paper explaining his theory about fatherhood like it's an equation. Dude is really out there. I wouldn't I really hate this character, but the distraction works and Melanie manages to coordinate efforts with Leighton to take back Snowpiercer. So plot-wise, that was a major twist for me, and it put a grin into my face. I just wish that all the camera shots were like all previous episodes. A lot of fighting happens during this episode, a lot of battle scenes. And I understand the camera shaking and the camera moving around constantly to try to express that in live action. It just didn't work out for me. I wish that, okay, the fight scenes would have been a certain camera angle. Then, when we have exchanges between the characters on the train, we go back to the normal camera angles. Because a lot of little interesting things happen, but this camera thing just got me so distracted. I can't I can't let go. I really enjoyed this episode. It could have been so much better, but I'm interested in knowing what you thought of this episode. Let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully, I'll see you all in next week's final episode of the final season, the big finale. Let's all join in there and just enjoy a good show. It's not perfect, but it is entertaining, and I'm having a lot of fun watching this. Until then, see you in the next video. But that is just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments down below. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. If you didn't like it, thank you so much for listening this long. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Until then, check these out.